Right, hey everyone, this is Team Torchwood, and welcome to my first Big Finish review. This is the review of Only the Monstrous. God, I am excited to review this one. I got this because, obviously John Hurt passed away and I had to experience more for his Doctor, so I experienced it all the way through. I was hooked. I couldn't stop listening to it. I had to listen to the whole thing all the way through. And I loved it so much, I don't even care if the viewers want it. I want to review it. So, with that said, I hope you enjoy the review of Only the Monstrous. So, let's get into it. So, starting with the packaging, we have, obviously, John Hurt's Doctor there, we have the War Doctor, then we have a Dalek behind him. Then you have the Doctor Who logo there, followed by the War Doctor and saying Only the Monstrous, starring John Hurt and Jacqueline Pearce. So on the spine, we obviously have Doctor Who, Only the Monstrous, War Doctor, etc. The first War Doctor box set. And on the back, you can pause and read if you want to, as usual. So, yeah, there you go. It has some stuff. So there you go, that's just the box set of it. So I'm going to go through the packaging of the other episodes and then we'll get into the review of them. So obviously we're going to do the packaging of The Innocent first. So obviously on the first packaging of The Innocent we have the War Doctor and then his companion Rejoice. And then it says The Innocent, Doctor logo, and some of the other cast on the bottom. So we then, on the spine, obviously it has the similar stuff, has the title of it. And then on the back you can pause and read as usual, and has some information about stuff, and yeah. And then obviously part 1, The Innocent and War Doctor, all that stuff. You can pause and read if you want to. So yeah, and then on the inside of it we have, obviously we have the disc on the right hand side, and then we have the leaflet. So it has some stuff written on the disc actually, so you can read that. You can pause and read it if you feel like you want to, and I'm going to take the leaflet out if I can. Yeah, so on here it has some more stuff about that you can pause and read, and then you can look in here and read that if you want to. You can pause and read that if you want, and the same with this. So there's the Innocent packaging. We're going to go on to the packaging of the Thousand Worlds. So yeah, on the front of it, obviously as usual, we have a Doctor Who logo, etc, etc, etc. You get the idea. And then obviously War Doctor on the middle of it, and then yeah, we have Daleks and we have Thousand Worlds, etc. You get the idea. And then the spine again, same thing. And then on the back you can pause and read if you want to. As usual, you can do that. And then on the inside, we do have the disc. You can pause and read what's on the disc if you want to. And then on the inside of this leaflet, you can pause and read this if you want to. So there you go. And then the packaging of the Heart of the Battle. Obviously it has the same sort of format as the other ones, and usually the Big Finish CD formats are all the same, to be honest. But yeah, it has the strip there, obviously it has that, and then it has the War Doctor there, like, and then it has some Daleks on the front, so that's good. Yeah, and then obviously it has a Heart of Battle there. And then on the spine, yeah, same thing. And then on the back, you can pause and read. It talks about stuff to do with the episode. And so going on to the interior of this one, we have the production credits on that one, and then also there is the disc of Heart of the Battle, and interestingly, there is the bonus features on a separate disc. Sorry. So yeah, there's the bonus features on the back. You can pause and read what's on the disc if you want to. So there's that. And then on the inside of the leaflet there should be something on there, so if I can get it out. Yeah, got it. Right. Obviously there's the leaflet. Have a look on the inside. Oh, it's nothing really. Right. Okay, so with that being said, right, let's get in to the review of the War Doctor box set. Only the Monstrous. So, let's put these back in. Right, let's get into the review of the box set. So I'm going to start with reviewing the episodes separately, because that's the best way to do it, I think. So the review of The Innocent, which is part 1. So it feels very, very separate to the other 2 episodes, I noticed, because part 2 and 3 are a lot more about Keska, the planet Keska and all that. So yeah, it feels a lot more separate, disjointed from the other 2, but all the same, it's still very, very enjoyable. I mean, the war on Kesha mirrors the Time War, which is brilliant. I mean, obviously that's done for purposes so that, you know, for character development, and Rejoice and the War Doctor like sympathising with each other. So there's that. I think Rejoice is actually a really cool companion, to be honest, and I like her being introduced as a younger female in this story, and then obviously there's a twist with her character in the other stories, obviously. So I really, really like the idea of the companion, to be honest. I really do like her. She's not really a companion, is she? Because obviously she doesn't travel around with a doctor on these marvellous adventures. She's just helping out with circumstances, isn't she? Yeah, anyway. So, I like the chemistry between those 2, actually. I really, really love the chemistry between the War Doctor and Rejoice, to be honest. I really do. And it does kind of, part 1 really does kind of fill in the gaps about the Time War, actually. I'm surprised how well they did actually explain it. For people who aren't as clear about what happened in the Time War and all that, it's kind of cool to make it a lot more clearer to them about what it's about, you know, about why it started, you know, it being basically based off of the Daleks being annoyed that the Time Lord sent the Doctor to wipe out the Daleks back in Genesis of the Daleks. So yeah, there's that, and so the Daleks got pissed off and they started the war. Well, that's what the Doctor seems to think why it started. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not really sure how difficult it would have been for new fans of Doctor Who to understand, you know, this thing. Like, if they're new fans, like, just tuned into Peter Capaldi, God forbid. Like, if so, then they might be a bit confused, like, oh, what's this Time War thing? I've never heard of this, you know? I don't know. I don't know. But one big positive, and not just for part 1, but for every episode, for this whole box set, it's unlike Day of the Doctor. John Hurt just instantly feels like the Doctor. I can't explain it. Because in Day of the Doctor, he was written in a way where it's just like he's just that third wheel, just following Matt and David around. It just doesn't work in the Day of the Doctor. I mean, he's bloody brilliant in his acting and everything, and he's trying so hard, bless him. But it's just the writing just didn't work in Day of the Doctor. But in this, it's nailed perfectly. I can really, really picture the John Hurt being the Doctor now. He's brilliant, and I think this box set's made me love his Doctor even more. He's one of my favourites now, I think. I'm not exaggerating. I really, really love the War Doctor now, to be honest, because of this box set. And I'm definitely, as soon as I can, going to pick up the second one. I think it's called, I'm not sure what it's called. I actually can't remember. Maybe it's Engines of War, I think it's called. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I'm definitely, as soon as possible, I'm going to bloody order the second box set, because the first one is phenomenal. This is actually brilliant. But yeah, The Innocent is actually very decent opening. I mean, it's the weakest, to be honest. It is the weakest of the box set. I think they get better as they go. Like part 1 being very, 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 very good opening. Part 2 being absolutely excellent build and continuation, and part 3 being an absolutely fantastic climactic finale. So I think this one's the weakest, but I still think it's brilliant. I'm gonna give this part 1. I'm gonna give it like a 7.5. Actually, I'm going to give it a 7.5. I was nearing towards a 7, but I thought, nah, I do really, really still love it. And I love the performance of all the cast in this, especially John Hurt. So, yeah, so now moving on to part 2, which is called The Thousand Worlds. So, it's yeah, like I say, I mean, I know that these three stories are supposed to be like all connected, like together equally, but it feels like part 1 is very disjointed. I mean, part 2 is the continuation of Keska, which is brilliant, and they do that, but they take a really, really big spin on it, where Kesha is ruled by the Daleks, and I've forgotten the other villains, the other names of them. Crap, that actually really irritates me. I should remember, but I don't. Crap. Damn it. Sorry about that, but yeah, it's a really, really cool twist. I didn't see it coming, and it's been mere minutes since the Doctor had to leave Keska in part 1, and when he comes back to find Rejoice, she's a lot older. She's like, yeah, it's a really, really cool twist, and obviously they had to have 2 different actresses for Rejoice. I like the elder actress of Rejoice a bit more, but it's only just marginally. It's just because like maybe she has more to do in part 2 and 3 rather than the younger one in part 1. But who knows? Anyway, so it feels, even though it has the same setting, it feels so different from part 1. I mean, part 2 and 3 feel so connected, like they're a 2-part story, but part 1 just feels so disjointed, which is my only real problem with this box set, to be honest. But apart from that, it's absolutely fantastic, actually, apart from that. But yeah, I love, in part 2, this really does pick up, partly because the Daleks get a lot more time in this episode, get a lot more time to do stuff, to be honest. I mean, every single episode of this box set, the Daleks get more to do, to be honest. But I think they're brilliant in this one. They're just, you're watching for them because they might do something like terrible, because we all know the Daleks to be that sort. But yeah, so there's that. This episode is a lot more action orientated than the first one. The first one is a lot more of an introduction to the idea of the War Doctor series, isn't it? And I think it still works very well, part 1, like in that sense of what it was trying to do. But part 2 is really getting into the action side of the War Doctor series, and I really, really love the feel for it. I really love the theme. It's actually brilliant. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of continuity from episode 1, The Innocent, and to be honest, yeah, that's another problem, actually. Actually, it's not really, if you want to, but you have to experience this box set in order. You have to watch The Innocent, then you have to watch the Thousand Worlds, and then you have to watch The Heart of Battle. You can't watch them out of order. You have to watch them in chronological order, because otherwise you might not understand part 2 from part 1 and part 3 from part 2 and part 1. You get the idea. So yeah, you have to watch the episodes in order. That's one problem, but it's not really a problem, to be honest. I loved watching these in order, just as the story like unfolds and as it like continues and descends into madness, and then an absolutely brilliant finale and all that. Anyway, so yeah, and I think part 2, The Thousand Worlds, is a brilliant build to part 3, actually. I really, really love the build. I mean, because I think part 1 feels disjointed because it doesn't really build up for part 2. It's sort of like part 2 continues where part 1 left off. So that's kind of, yeah. But I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. It's still a brilliant one. Absolutely brilliant. So, as a build-up to Heart of Battle, let's get into the review of The Heart of the Battle, Part 3. Personally, my favourite. Actually, no, I forgot to rank. So, The Thousand Worlds, I give it a 9 out of 10. The Thousand Worlds, I'll give it a 9 out of 10, actually. Absolutely fantastic. So then, Part 3, the final episode, The Heart of the Battle. So, this one feels like a sequel to part 2, as I've already said. It feels like a sequel to part 2, yeah. So, saving Keska from the Daleks and the other enemy. I've forgotten their names, apologies. But yeah, it feels a lot more like a follow-on from part 2, which is a shame that it feels a little bit disjointed from part 1 again. But all the same, the Daleks, like, Peace Pact is really just a way. Is really just the secret plot to destroy Gallifrey. That seems like the Daleks to me. I think the Daleks were written very, very well in this box set, to be honest, especially in part 3. And I think in general, because that does really sound like the Daleks, like them, like being really, 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 really sinister and cunning. That really does sound like the Daleks to me. That really does scream. Yeah, it's brilliant. And the whole, the Peace Pact is really just to destroy Gallifrey. That really, really does sound like the Daleks. That really is something the Daleks would do, I feel. So I really, really do love how the Daleks are written. So, so I think also the stakes are a lot higher than other things, because obviously the destruction of Gallifrey, they want to win the Time War, don't they? So there's that. I think what's brilliant is that it does conclude, and it isn't too far-fetched, and the conclusion isn't too stretched out or too sudden. It's just a perfectly lengthed, I think, and it's just a good close-off, saying goodbye to the characters that were involved in the whole box set that are still alive, that is. And I do love how it's left ambiguous, that it's really, really clever of making it not clear of Rejoice's fate, because you think that she might have died, but you don't know if she did at the end of part 3. So yeah, there's that, and I feel like part 3 really does put the fear back into the Daleks, which is what Big Finish does very, very well in general. It really does make the Daleks seem threatening, which is brilliant, and this box set really does do that as well. It's brilliant. But that's every Big Finish. It's not just this episode. It's all of Big Finish. You seem to have the quality of making the Daleks seem threatening, which is absolutely fantastic. I praise that. I praise Big Finish on making that a thing. So the final thoughts on the box set. It does the War Doctor justice, and I love the War Doctor so much now. That's my initial thoughts when I finished. I'm like, oh crap, I love the War Doctor now. I love this incarnation of the Doctor. He's so brilliant and so... it's just brilliant. I love the War Doctor's... it's just the idea of the Doctor is brilliant. And I love John Hurt's acting. I love John Hurt. I love John Hurt's Doctor. And it's such a fucking shame that he went and died. I'm really upset that he died, to be honest. I really am. Oh, it's so upsetting. It really is. It's really sad, actually. I'm really, really... rest in peace, John Hurt. Yeah, again, I have to... rest in peace, John Hurt. Rest in peace. Alright, so, out of the way of that. About the box set. So, it isn't just about the Time War, which is the typical boring sort of, it's just about the Time War, I won't pick this up, this is just about the Time War, and yeah, it won't be much else. But no, it has so much, it does branch off from the events of the Time War into the stuff about Keska and all that, and it's brilliant like that. It's so clever how it, just expands the whole... It makes the Time War feel so large scale and so dangerous, and it's just brilliant. It doesn't shy away from the fact that the Time War was so brutal, and it affected every alien. It wasn't just Time Lords versus Daleks. It was the universe, wasn't it? It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I got to praise them for that. It made the Time War seem so brutal. So yeah, I think the side cast hold up well, actually. I really think the scenes with them were really well thought out and really well written. I don't think they were any of the scenes were unbelievable, to be honest. I could picture some of the scenes really, really well in my mind. So yeah, Rejoice is a brilliant companion, actually. I really am a big fan of her, and it's, I really, really love how they left her death ambiguous. You don't know whether she died or not. that's what's kind of really, really clever. And yeah, I love the conclusion of the episode, of the whole box set, and I love how it follows into each other, apart from part one being a bit disjointed, as I've already mentioned a couple of times. But yeah, you have to experience the box set in order as well, I've already said. But yeah, okay, so part one, I've already said I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Part two, I give a 9 out of 10. And part three, I give a perfect 10 out of 10. And so the box set, I strongly recommend you get this. If you have the money and you're thinking of getting a Doctor Who Big Finish box set, get this one right now. Get it right now. Just don't hesitate. This is unbelievably good. I love this box set. And so I give this box set a solid 10 out of 10. I can't recommend it enough. It's so brilliant. So I hope this review of these episodes of this box set has persuaded you to buy this product, this amazing masterpiece. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you learned something. I hope it's persuaded you to buy it yourself and experience it in its full glory. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.